All right, welcome everybody. Today we are going over presenting your strengths effectively to employers. I'm really excited about today's session. There's a lot of information going to come at you here in a second, so get your questions ready. And just so I know that you can hear and see me okay, if you wouldn't mind popping something in the chat saying, hi, like I can hear you, I can see everything okay, that would be great. I took a chance and set this up by myself today, so hopefully everything works okay today. So if you want to do that, that would be excellent, and I will pop up the agenda here. So today I want to go over a few things, specifically what are hard skill sets versus transferable skills versus soft skills. There's a little bit of a difference between all of these things, and so I want to break them down for you so we can kind of identify what you should be presenting and when. I also want to talk about how you can leverage your natural strengths. These are like your natural qualities that you will bring to any job. And sharing your skills and strengths effectively to employers is obviously a big piece of this presentation. And then, of course, how to navigate that in the interview process. So I can't wait to get started with you guys. All right, awesome. Awesome. Audio is great. Greetings. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Hi, Carolyn, Chris, Kim. Welcome, welcome. Excited to get started today. All right, so like I said, get your questions ready if you have any around presenting your strengths, and we'll get to them at the end. Okay, so first let's start with the difference in the skills. So let's talk about hard skill sets. So what's a hard skill set? A hard skill is a job-specific or industry-specific skill set that you need, in most cases, technical training on. Okay, so some examples are email marketing strategy, project management, iOS troubleshooting. Those are examples of hard skill sets that you need to learn and do in order to gain those skill sets. Okay, these are things that apply to specific jobs, specific roles, and they're very important in terms of actually getting your foot in the door for the interview. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. Okay. Whoops. It looks like I'm missing a slide here, but, tips on your hard skill sets. Okay, forgot to add this one in. So make sure that you're specific with your hard skill sets. All right, so make it as job specific or industry specific as possible. So you can have a really broad skill like communication or problem solving, and that's technically a hard skill set, but it's so general that it's not really going to help you stand out. So you want to avoid using skill sets that are too general because it won't allow you to stand out, it won't brand you for the opportunities you want, and you might even get pinged for opportunities that aren't relevant to you. So it's really important that you focus on those really specific hard skills that apply exactly to the service that you provide. Okay, they should be supporting the exact service that you provide as an employee. Okay? All right, so let's get to soft skills. A soft skill is a character trait or quality. So a few examples that I see all the time, team player, results-oriented, supportive. These are all qualities, character traits, things that have to do with you as a person. And they are definitely skills, don't get me wrong. However, you want to be presenting them a little bit differently in the hiring process if you want employers to really see the value in those skill sets. So a few tips here. So avoid listing soft skills on your resume or LinkedIn profile. So this is important because even though you'll see a lot of soft skills on a job description, they're not necessarily going to help you get past the ATS or the applicant tracking system or even present your best self to employers, right? You really want to use the hard skill sets. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute here, but it's important to kind of think about the employer's point of view. And at the beginning of the process, of the hiring process, they're just looking for somebody who has the right skill sets to do the actual core functions of the job. Okay, so just to get in the door, and then they'll look at those and evaluate those soft skill sets and character traits to see if you're a team player, right? So if someone can describe you as being something, being a team player, being supportive, being results oriented, it's a soft skill. So excuse me. So if you feel like you can describe yourself as being a certain quality or skill set that you want to list on your resume, you might want to double check that and make sure that you're not listing a soft skill. So Soft skills are things that you really want to articulate through examples, and narrative examples, and sometimes even in your cover letter. So avoiding soft skills, character traits in your resume and profile are really key, because you'll lose valuable real estate on your resume or profile showcasing things that don't actually help you get job interviews. Okay, so this is really important to remember. Okay, hard skill sets versus soft skill sets. So again, just to reiterate, hard skills should be highlighted on your resume and your LinkedIn profile to showcase that you have the technical skills to actually do the core functions of that job. Soft skills should be demonstrated in your interactions, interview answers, and examples within your cover letter. These are things that you need to really have a longer explanation for. You can't just list it on your resume or cover letter, or you can't just list it on your resume or LinkedIn profile, because if you can't quantify it, then it shouldn't be going on there anyway. And then transferable skills, those can actually be hard or soft skills. As long as they can transfer to several jobs, several industries, several types of roles, those are transferable skill sets. And you have so many more skills than you think. It's crazy. So if you feel like you don't have any transferable skills, I challenge you there because you definitely do. Okay, so how do you identify these skill sets? So like I said, you might not realize it, but you have more skills than you think. You probably just have to take a minute and actually see the skill sets, or think about the roles you've held in the past, or the expertise you've gained over the course of your career. But I guarantee you have more skills than you think. And you will definitely have to highlight different skill sets for different opportunities, because as we always talk about, you have to customize your approach in order to stand out and to get past those applicant tracking systems, those systems that can toss you out if you don't have enough of the right skill set or keyword or anything like that. So it's really important that you take note of what those skill sets are that relate to the specific job, and really tweak them accordingly. And then along with this, you should always scan the job description, because not only is it going to help you customize your resume and your approach in general, but it's also going to help you see what skill sets you might not have thought about, but you definitely have. So this happens all the time inside Work It Daily when I'm working with clients and they're, just completely lost for what skill sets they should include. And then when I have them send me a job description of the job that they want to pursue, we'll work through it together and say, okay, well, this job description has this skill set, this skill set, this skill set that are really important for this role. In your career, do you think you can support these types of skill sets and to list them on your resume? And they'll say, absolutely. I didn't even think about this type of skill. I didn't know how to define the skills that I've gained over the course of my career. So being able to see this on a description really can be helpful in terms of not only identifying what skills you should be listing, but also how you should be customizing your approach. Okay, so again, think about the core responsibilities of each job that you've held in the past, and then work backwards. So, go back and look at your past jobs, your volunteer experiences, anything that you were able to gain expertise in, and ask yourself, what skills did you gain or hone over the course of that time? What projects did you need to work on? And what kinds of results did you get with those projects? What expertise did you gain, right? These are all important questions to ask yourself if you're really struggling to identify what your skills are and how they support that service that you provide as an employee. Okay, so here are some examples, and these are really basic examples just to give you a sense. So let's just say we took a bunch of bullet points from a bunch of random, resumes. So for example, greeted customers at front desk. Okay, that could be customer service is a skill set there. That's a hard skill set that can support that action, that task, that responsibility. Work closely with vendors, so vendor relations, right? Manage patient needs, patient management. Created email campaigns, email marketing, right? So if you can really think about the core function of the task that you had to do, the project that you had to do, the responsibilities that you had to hold in the past, you can really work backwards and figure out, how can I make this into one word? How can I define this as a hard skill set? Because I guarantee you every single bullet point that you have on your resume can be flipped in some way, shape, or form so you can turn it into a skill set, okay? All right, so again, scan the job description for those hints, and we do have an awesome skills table in the job search plan course in the courses tab. That this can really help you organize your skill sets based on the hard skill sets, soft skill sets, other keywords, even technologies. There's a whole bunch of other places on this table that can help you kind of organize what you should be putting on your resume. But if you're really struggling to get organized, figure out what your skill sets are, how you should be focusing on them, and presenting them in your search, this is really going to give you that organization you need. So just so you know, when you're scanning those job descriptions, some skill sets and keywords are going to be obvious, but others have to be decoded. So for example, let's just say a job description for, an event planner or something. One of the responsibilities is to oversee, organize, and work events. That translates to things like event management, event planning, event coordination, right? So you might have to do a little bit of decoding when you're working through these job descriptions. But the key thing to remember is just figure out what's the core function of each of these responsibilities. What's the skill set that you need to have in order to support these types of activities and projects? Okay, so look for action words and tasks. For example, manage, organize, plan, develop. Think about the goal of the action and how it relates to your job. And get specific and look at the big picture. Example is, analysis versus product analysis, right? So how can you make that hard skill set as specific as possible for that specific role, that specific job, that specific industry? The more specific you can get, the better, because it's really going to allow you to brand yourself for that role in particular, and it's going to help you optimize your materials more in the beginning of that hiring process. Okay, so I want to take a minute to talk about your natural strengths and how you can leverage them. So it's really important that you identify a role that will allow you to leverage your natural strengths, right? So if you're in a role that's, not allowing you to, be yourself or leverage those tools that you're naturally given, you're not going to feel as successful as you could be. You might even be completely miserable. So it's important that you identify what are your natural strengths and what types of roles will allow you to leverage those strengths. Okay, because not only is it going to be hard for you to market yourself for the role, but it's also, if you do end up getting the role, you risk hating the job because you're not actually leveraging those skill sets that you have naturally. Okay, so again, it doesn't just mean those hard skill sets. It's also those soft skills that you just use in everyday life. It's just part of your personality, it's part of your DNA. So it's really important to take that into consideration here. Now, if you haven't already, and I'm sure most of you guys have already taken this quiz, but take the Career Decoder quiz because it's going to allow you to identify your top 2 to 3 what we call personas, and it allows you to figure out what types of roles will lend themselves to those personas. Right? So what kinds of natural skills and abilities do you have, and what kinds of roles will lend themselves to those skills and abilities? And right after this session, I meant to do it beforehand, but I have kind of like a key to get you thinking about how you can translate these results into your job search, and I'll post them in the comments below or below this recording so you guys have them. But that way you can kind of get a sense of what types of roles will allow you to leverage those natural strengths and those results that you got with that quiz. But the main thing is it really allows you to look at jobs differently from the beginning, so that way you can naturally sell yourself for an opportunity because you have those natural abilities to thrive in that role. So if you think about the core service that you're going to be providing, tie it back to your Career Decoder results and those natural strengths. And then look for jobs with titles and descriptions that align with those results. Okay, again, I'll post something below this recording so that way you have a kind of a key, or at least something to kind of get your brain going in terms of what types of roles you should be looking for as they relate to your results. But here's an example. So one of the results that you can get in the Career Decoder quiz is a super connector. And a super connector is a people person. They love to connect with others, be around people. They just get tons of energy by being around others. Okay, so, there are certain roles that instantly come to mind as, who's going to be what kinds of roles will allows super connectors to thrive. Sales, perhaps, customer service roles, anything that's client facing. Thinking about roles in a different way as they relate to your natural strengths is really important if you want to be naturally showcasing these throughout your search, okay? In your cover letter, in your interview, in your interactions, it's really important. So finding a job that will allow you to leverage those strengths is going to be really key. Okay, so something you want to keep in mind here is while your Career Decoder results can help you find a better fit job that plays to your core strengths, they aren't technically hard skills that you want to list on your resume or LinkedIn profile. Okay, so you want to kind of approach these like, they're soft skills, right? They're soft skills, they're your natural abilities or natural strengths, and you want to, again, use them more with narrative examples. You want to showcase them with narrative examples in your interactions, during interviews. So it's really important to kind of approach these like you would with those soft skills, like, being a supportive person, being a team player, and so on. So review the list of potential job titles that you can tie to your Career Decoder results in the attachments below, which I will attach right after our session today. And definitely just get an idea of what types of roles will allow you to thrive with your natural strengths. Okay, so something to keep in mind is that titles vary drastically depending on the industry, company, and job. So this isn't, set in stone. It's just a way to kind of get you thinking differently. So just make sure that you double check the job description, understand the core functions, responsibilities, and tasks for each job to make sure it's in alignment with your natural skills and strengths. Okay? All right, so sharing your skills and strengths effectively. We kind of been going over this throughout the presentation, but just wanted to give you a recap here. So sharing those hard skill sets is really going to be important on your resume and your LinkedIn profile. Again, it's going to help you get through the ATS. It's going to help you get your foot in the door because you can prove that you have the key skills that it takes to actually do the core functions of the job. And one thing that we talk about here all the time is how your resume in our format allows you to build off of it. It builds off of itself. So from the very top, you define that service that you provide, that headline. Then below that, you have your hard skill sets, your 6 to 10 hard skill sets that support that service that you provide. And then in your work history, your bullet points should have quantifiable accomplishments that support the skill sets that you're choosing to showcase at the top. Okay, so everything works off of each other. It's very strategic, it's very intentional, but it's also very important that you keep it simple and you're just really focusing on how you can tie things back to those hard skills. Now, your soft skills should be demonstrated during interviews, during conversations and interactions. If you really wanted to highlight a certain skill set or natural strength, you can use your cover letter in some cases to articulate a narrative example of a time that you were able to use these skill sets, right? So as long as you can prove the skill set in one way or another, it's really important that you do that, because otherwise the recruiter or the hiring manager is going to say, it says who, and they're going to move on to the next person. So if you don't have support, then you're not going to be able to really market yourself effectively here. Okay, so navigating the hiring process. So when you're supporting your hard skill sets and you're preparing for your interviews, it's really important, again, to think about those 6 to 10 relevant hard skill sets that support the core functions of the job that you're applying to. So that way you're prepared, you know exactly what skill sets you're going to pull out of your pocket and immediately start using from day one. And you want to make sure that you have some examples to back that up. So crafting, a couple of responses that showcase those quantifiable accomplishments. When did you have to use these skills in the past and what results did you get? Essentially, you can take your resume's bullet points, but just kind of expand on them. So that way you can, give them more context, more examples to really support those hard skill sets. Now, when it comes to soft skill sets, you want to be thinking about narrative examples, as we've talked about, to support those skills and those character traits. So really focusing on how to structure your answers and making sure that you walk them through, a certain situation so they can really see and hear how you've handled a situation so they can know whether or not you have a certain skill set. And if you're really struggling with this, you should absolutely check out Structuring Your Answers and Answering Behavioral Interview Questions in the Interview Prep Plan course. So these are 2 modules in there that we are constantly driving people to, especially in this course, because they allow you to prepare effectively so you can answer these behavioral questions that really are designed to draw out those soft skill sets. Okay, so it's important for you to not only understand what soft skill sets you have to offer, but also how you can articulate them to employers in order to sell yourself and market yourself effectively in this process. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about any of this, please let me know. But yeah, that was a lot of information. So if there's something you want me to expand on more, or you feel like should actually have its own session, if you really think that there's a lot more to that, let me know. Happy to get feedback there and suggestions. So let's see what we got over here in the chat. Okay, awesome. Yeah, show, don't tell with soft skills, really, really important. You want to demonstrate as opposed to just telling them you have something, because you can tell me all day long that you're a results-oriented person, but unless I see an example there, I'm not going to have any proof that you are this person, right? And the other thing is, so many people slap these terms on their resumes and their cover letters and their LinkedIn profiles that it's kind of just, it's almost like just wasted space at this point, because if you don't have anything to support it or back it up, it doesn't really mean much, right? Because everyone's saying it. So it's really important that you do have those examples. All right, so how do you translate the transferable skill set into the resume to beat the ATS? So like I said, making sure that you go and look at that job description of the specific job that you're applying to, figuring out where the top 6 to 10 key skill sets, hard skill sets that you need in order to thrive in this role as they relate to that job, and then putting them on your resume and supporting them with quantifiable accomplishments. But you're probably going to have a mix of transferable skill sets and hard skill sets depending on your level, where you're at in your career, and what type of job it is. So again, transferable skill sets can be both soft skills and hard skills, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on those hard skill sets, those hard transferable skill sets on your resume. Okay, question. What truly is the LinkedIn profile for? Why do you need it? So great question. So your LinkedIn profile, as we've been saying a lot lately, is kind of morphed into the yellow pages of the internet. So if I want to find somebody that I met at a conference or a networking event, or who applied to a job, I'm going to go to LinkedIn and search for their name, and I can learn more about them. I can learn more about, that service that they provide, what they do, what they've done in the past, what kinds of skills they have. And it's a great way to kind of just have that all organized in one place. But it's also, as a candidate and as a professional, it's a great way for you to brand yourself. So if you understand exactly what service you provide, and you know exactly what skill sets support that service, and you have, great quantifiable accomplishments to support the skill sets you're listing, you can brand yourself so well. So if I'm an employer and I saw that you applied to a job, or someone recommended you to me, and I go to your LinkedIn profile and I can see clear as day that you understand exactly how you're going to add value, and you've got a professional profile, you're serious about this, the chances of me calling you are much higher, because I understand who you are and what you have to offer, if it relates to the opportunity that I'm applying for. So it's a great way to brand yourself. And, in addition to just being a place where people can find you and learn more about you. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like whenever I go to networking events these days, I'm seeing less and less business cards, and more people saying, connect with me on LinkedIn, right? So this is just an easy way for people to connect, learn more about each other, brand themselves, and so on. So it is really important to have one, just so you can, have something when someone searches for you online. Recruiters will search for you if they're serious about bringing you in for an interview. They want to learn more about you. So if you have a LinkedIn profile and you've branded it well, it's going to give you bonus points, right? So it's important to have a profile there. All right, question from Dave. Any resume samples to review the right way to display hard skill sets and quantifiable items? Yes, Dave, actually, you should go and check out our resume plan course in the courses tab. And the first tutorial, the step-by-step resume tutorial, beneath that, you're going to see a few templates as well as an example resume, and that's going to really show you exactly how we set everything up. It's also going to give you examples of, you know, what types of hard skill sets you can incorporate and how to, you know, format your quantifiable accomplishments. But I'd also check out the skills table in the job search plan, module 5, because that's going to help you kind of define what those skills are. So that way you can kind of work backwards. Okay, but definitely check out the resume plan as well as watch the tutorial. It's really helpful. It's one of my favorite tutorials here. Question, what would you consider teachable, Ariella? Is this a soft skill? So Teachable, the platform, I'm assuming you mean Teachable. So our old platform where our course library used to be housed is on a platform called Teachable. And, you know, Teachable is actually something, it's not a skill set. It would actually be something listed in your technologies or software programs in your resume or on your profile. If you're, you know, good at using Teachable, you know how to navigate the platform, and you feel like it's going to add value in your next role, that's something that you would list in your technology section, right? Because it's a platform, it's a software program or an online program that you can use, you know how to navigate, and it's just another way to optimize your resume or your profile and so on. But it's technically not a skill. It's technically just something that you know how to use, right? If that makes sense. Great question. Okay, what if you have limited hard skills to create a proper resume? It's a great question, Chris. So I guarantee you have more skills than you think. So I would challenge you to look at a few job descriptions, think about what types of roles that you want to apply for, and just go and scan a few and say, hey, you know, do I have these skill sets? Do I have any projects or you know, tasks or responsibilities in my past careers that or past jobs that can support this type of skill set? And if you're really having a hard time figuring out, narrowing down what kinds of skill sets you should include, definitely chat with our coaching team, because we can help you figure out how to get more specific with your skill sets. What's a hard skill set? What's a soft skill set? What kinds of skills can transfer over? We can really work with you on that. But I guarantee you, Chris, that you have more skill sets than you think. And a lot of times it's really about just seeing that skill set and understanding that this is how it would be defined. Okay. And so if you're really, you know, hurting for hard skill sets related to a specific job, think about those transferable skills. You know, skills like project management, customer service, you know, administration, things like that. Those can, you know, they're a little bit general, but at the same time, they can still help you kind of get to where you want to go, and they're still transferable and they're still hard skill sets. So again, if you really need some help with that, we're more than happy to help kind of figure out what those skill sets look like. We do it with as many people as possible because we really want to make sure that you guys have the right skill sets and you're showcasing the right stuff on your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So great question. Awesome. Great. Lots of great questions today, guys. Love it. Excellent. So I hope today's session was helpful for you guys. I will be sure to put that that resource below this video after I hop off, so that way you can kind of get a sense for what kinds of opportunities are in alignment with your Career Dakota results, and you definitely want to check that out. Awesome. Ooh, great question. How do you answer what values you bring to work? So this is a great question, and I would encourage you to kind of tie this into your cover letter. So in your cover letter, you should be thinking about, you know, how you feel connected with a certain organization, and, you know, then talk about, you know, why you're motivated to do what you do, and bring in a narrative example of how you've done it in the past. And a lot of people will tie in their values and how they, you know, relate to the company values. And this is something that's, you know, important. It shows them that you're this is more than just a job to you. It's really an opportunity for you to contribute to an organization with similar values. So if you can articulate this in your cover letter, you know, this is a great way to do that. And you can learn how to do this in our cover letter plan. We have a great tutorial in there. We actually have a couple of tutorials in there, as well as some templates and examples. But then you can also incorporate these into your narrative examples in your interview responses but you would have to be asked certain questions in order to do that. So I would encourage you to start by putting it in your cover letter if you share certain values or you want to promote certain values in your, when you're first presenting yourself to an employer. Great question. Awesome. Are they hard skill sets or soft skill sets? So I don't think that they're necessarily skill sets. I think they're just values and beliefs, and they're things that resonate with you and, and the employer. So if you both value certain things, then you're going to feel more connected to the employer, and they're going to feel more connected to you, and you're going to want to contribute more and be a better employee. So I think that's something, again, that you want to kind of tie into your narrative in your cover letter to really showcase why you have this extra kind of bonus value or bonus quality about you that really allows you to stand out. Awesome. Great questions, you all, everybody. Love it. I hope that helps. And Cece, if you have any other questions, actually everybody, if you have any other questions and you feel like maybe I didn't get the right answer or I really wanted to get more in depth there, definitely reach out to the coaching team. We will be happy to answer those questions, give you more of an in-depth answer if you really feel like you want one, but definitely leverage that coaching team inside of Work It Daily. Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. That went by so quick. And I will see you next time. I'm scheduling some more live sessions today, so stay tuned. All right. Well, thanks again, and have a great day.